palatable. I mean, it's a shame that a country so endowed and blessed, both human and natural resources, it's been turned into a country that begs, that, I don't know, well, it's on her knees, where students, a course that is meant to take 3 years, in some cases taken 6 years, because university lecturers are on strike, everything expensive. Even the petrol, the crude oil that God has blessed them with, it's become a curse. In other words, they bring out this crude from the ground. Not even them, the companies outside the country bring out this crude, and they will take this crude outside the country to refine. And when they are bringing back only the PMS, petrol, apart from the other byproducts that have been taken away, the cost of bringing this petrol back is more than the cost of sending it away for to be refined. So and this has been going on for a long time. That is why we were discussing before whether the culture interferes with development in a way, because you know what they're doing is wrong, because these are elderly people. You can't question them, possibly because they come from your ethnic background or your religious background. You can question them, and it's like that from time to time. You have a legislation or legislative assembly that is being squabbling between party interest and national interest. I just don't know the type of human beings these people are. Coming to the election, a party in Nigeria demands $100 million. I mean, not dollars, pound, and naira. So when I use money units, I will always use naira. So you can convert it by 600.
So give me that, the equivalent in roughly in dollar.
I can't do the maths now. Yeah. Anyway, so if you just, take the amount for what it is, first of all, before we start conversion, because the people in Nigeria spend naira. And if you regard that the minimum wage is 30,000. The minimum wage is 30,000 naira per month, the living wage. And someone is picking up interest, nomination interest, just interest to run for a particular office, for the president of Nigeria, the highest office. You are required to pay 100 million naira. Considering that the living wage, the minimum wage is 30,000. A graduate leaving university. In other words, so that alone has excluded so many people that can't afford 100 million naira to participate in the democratic process or election process. That aside, what is even annoying now that people are like relinquishing their sovereignty in the sense that they don't spend the naira anymore. There's this collegiate system like they copy from America. They're doing in Nigeria now. You have delegates that will nominate out of these people that have been screened by the parties. So the delegates we elect in the primaries who will represent their party. So Jerusalem is getting exciting. So these delegates, if, for instance, I'll give you an example. If I'm running, I've picked up a form, I want to run as a candidate of Party A. Mm-hmm. I picked up a form, and about 23 other people are doing the same, for the same party. So you have delegates from 36 states, depending on the size of the states, the number of delegates. We will decide, out of 23 of us, which one is suitable to represent the party.
The party.
So in this process, you know, the African sense, it depends on the deep pockets of the aspirants. But what they're doing now, they are not even spending local currency anymore to bribe the delegates. So it's dollars. And they say there's no dollar, and they are borrowing money for the infrastructure and all this type of thing. But where do these people get dollars from? And it is like, that is why I said sometimes you see the victim too wanting to be like the person inflicting pain on them. For instance, if I'm aspirant of Party A to be the president of Nigeria, and I'm spending about $2 billion, for example, the first thing, if I should win, because it's all for nothing, if I spend everything and go and gather money from various
and it is
sources,
happening to both parties.
Of course, yes. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, the aspirants, some of the aspirants might have very good intention for the country, but they don't have deep pockets. And the delegates are looking for the highest bidder. Mm. So that is why the country keeps falling into this trap every 4 years. Mm. And still people don't know why. How do they become helpless? They don't know. Why should only a few people present someone they don't like? It's just like between deep blue sea and a rock, hard rock. Mm. But if you ask yourself, how else would they do it? Someone will have to present these aspirants that screen them and let them compete. But when they said they will compete amongst themselves, then we'll bring out the best. No. You can't. If you're a billionaire and I'm just like a civil servant.
What is the point of being a member? Ordinary people who have maybe subscription and members of the party.
That is the problem. The problem arises from party membership. You have some group of people that they think they own the party because of their deep pockets. So you don't have a member, one vote, one member, or what do you call it?
Yeah, one vote. Mm.
You don't have that. It depends, one member, one vote. It depends on the big man that is backing the party. Mm. In most cases, depends on the governors. Mm. And the governors have, because they can, within their own states.
Or the shadow governors.
No, the governors themselves, they can appoint delegates.
Even from the other party.
It's money.
So
no, I mean they can't choose from other party. They can only choose from their own party, because at the end of the day, it's Party A and Party B will compete. Then the rest of the citizens will have to vote which one they prefer.
So the delegates, in a way, who are responsible for vetting,
and
allowing
presenting.
the person who is going to represent the party and hence compete for the presidency.
Yes.
They will have to be agreed to by the governance one way or another.
No, the governors pick the delegates,
Okay.
more or less. Because if I'm a governor of the state and I'm from Party A, and they want, I'm contesting to be a president for next year. Obviously, I will make all my delegates my PA or SLC, they call them. So if they come out on that particular from my state, I'm guaranteed. Though you are not sure, because some delegates might change their mind. They take your money and change their minds. You don't know who voted for what and what.
What, apart from, away from the parties, any candidate can independent?
No. There's no independent candidate for now, unfortunately. So you've got to be a member of a political party. So the two dominant parties are Party A and Party B in the country now. So if you want to become anything, unless a miracle happens next year, where the people decide, no, we don't want either candidate from A or B, they choose someone else from the lower party, then that shows that God is answering our prayer in the country.
So there's very little hope now, the situation as it is, for any credible candidates.
I mean, if you just imagine, Goodluck Jonathan, for instance, people are asking, what has he forgotten at Aso Rock that he wants to go back and pick up? The party that defeated him is the party that wants him to be their candidate. Right? It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's sublime, you know. Because I can't understand. And he's, apart from is putting his reputation on the line to succumb to this pressure.
Now, away from this, who are the main possible candidates now?
I mean, I don't want to mention names. There are so many. I don't remember. But because of the way the process is going, some are dropping out because they don't have pockets deep enough. So if they've gone as far as they could.
Backers.
They've gone as far and they've calculated. But if I continue, I might not. There is some hope in hell for me of getting anything. In some cases, they might not even get any vote from any delegate. So they are backing out.
Who do we know who is people like Aliko?
Dangote is not.
Dangote
No. Okay.
Who are they?
Dangote is
backing.
If he's backing, it's not into party politics because he knows he will lose so many things. Yeah, so he's a very clever man. He's just facing his business. I mean, if he's backing political parties, he might do it privately or secretly. Nobody cares.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he knows. Doesn't have to say anything.
He doesn't.
Whoever comes over, he will be able to deal. He will be able to run his business regardless.
It's an established businessman. Nobody can even, because if you touch his business, you're touching the economy of the country. I mean, to an extent, economy of the region, West African region. So that is no go area. I think it's more sensible than diving into politics. Possibly people might argue maybe politics made him what
they are, yeah.
But that is on top of all this, you have insecurity.
That is really, because this really what seemed to be affecting ordinary people more than anything else. I mean, livelihood is important, but economy and
livelihood, you don't even, is exacerbating the livelihood issue because people can't go to the farm. if you, some few days back, some people were adopted from their farm. People kidnapped. If you want to travel by rail, you are afraid. The line from Abuja to Kaduna probably is not in operation at the moment, since these criminals bombed the train service, and adopted almost about 69 people, and they are still in captivity. And people are junketing about, buying forms and hoping to. I don't understand. I don't know whether it's the presidency or just the people are so docile. Maybe because you think it's not my people. These people being abducted and kept in the bush, whether it's raining or this, and they're human beings. They are fellow countrymen and women. But people just don't care. You go up, if
you keep the mentality of it's not me, it's someone else, it's probably gonna come round to you one day. It will be you.
It will definitely, because I was just putting something down. The solution to criminality in Nigeria is very simple. But I believe the so-called failed politicians, if there's anything like that, appear to contribute to the insecurity in the country. First of all, you have 774 local governments. And each local government has a chairman. And within each state, you have a governor. So it will be very difficult for a state not to know where these criminals are. Even if they transverse between 3 states, they are not in the thin air, they are operating around, they are physical human beings.
Yeah,
that is why I say
it's not lack of information, is it?
That is why I say it either the people don't want, the politicians don't want insecurity to end. Number one, they've made it a very, very big business. Like, if for instance, my brother or some sister is then kidnapped, they would demand 100 million, 50 million, 500 million. Where would they get this money from? But somehow, these people raise money for the release of their loved ones. But the kidnappers, the people that carry out the kidnappers, are just the foot soldiers. They are being controlled. It's just like a criminal gang. They are being controlled by someone that is faceless. That's why when we started this discussion, the first we were saying that maybe it's the culture. When you know the criminal in your area, because it's just like one big man, maybe every Friday he will give arms and do this, but nobody questions where he gets his money from. They might be in charge of destabilizing the community, but nobody there question him. So you find non-state actor controlling the state. That is not possible anywhere in the world. So if they want to end this insecurity, it's simple. Either the state governor goes after these people. But in some cases, you have sympathizers. Oh, let us bring them back. Let us bring them back to the society. Let us bring this and all that type of thing. And it doesn't work. Or in some...
So there's no sort of consolidated strategy to deal with this. Because if you have a strategy that you are committed to,
yes,
how to deal with this, there won't be any sort of voices telling no. Instead of going in hard and strike at them, you'll have to compromise. Because if that is not part of the strategy, then you will do this. If the strategy is to deal with it in a different way, suggested, then no one is going to come and say, look, let us strike these people and hit them hard for them to be defeated, rather than waiting for them to repent.
What the problem is, there is no apparent strategy.
That's all.
Because you that is why the president was elected and re-elected, because he was a general in the army, Nigerian army. So people were thinking that, oh, as a former soldier, he will be able to sort out this
Well,
bandits.
he felt, yes, we know the ticket.
Yeah,
We know that how the hopes,
at the end of the day,
the hopes that people had
Yeah.
on him.
at the end of the day, is the commander-in-chief. So the army will not take order from maybe the governor. The army will not take order from...
No, I mean, even he's more than the army, actually. He's responsible for the whole
Peace,
country. And he is the one that should, provide the framework for the total strategy and the work. And he should be the one who actually drive, politically drive that.
In a normal democracy, the legislative body will have to bring him to the parliament. Say,
Yes.
look, what is happening? Why is the country like this? But they dare not, because the presidency of Nigeria is like a god, semi-god.
What about the public opinion, media, and all this?
You see, when society, I mean, this is a personal view, when society is fractured in such a way, it's disunited in such a way, talking about someone will be seen as you are against my own bloc because I am this, I am that.
So, talking about how the failure of Buhari will be, by this you meant to criticize the Northerns, the Muslims, the Fulanis.
Yeah, I mean, if some section of his constituency are beginning to even turn against him.
This is what because they have no.
They're not benefiting from. They are being kidnapped themselves. Yeah. So I mean that is the question. They ask, why has the commander-in-chief not taken this seriously? Instead, he went to the United Arab Emirates. Maybe I won't blame him for that, because as a head of state, to commensurate with the loss of the death of their president. But whereas people are being killed almost every day in this country,
and they have received no. What's the point of going condolences or
other places?
For
your house,
dignitary from another community, whereas every day you have people who are killed.
Your house is on fire, and you are going to put out another fire in another person's house. I mean, I don't understand the logic of it. And that is why people are asking. Some people need their heads to be examined under this situation, and people still want to become the president of such a country.
Probably his delegation going over there will be, a plane full of dignitaries. And,
of course, I mean, it won't go alone. Normally, it won't go alone. But I'm just saying is, either the president is ignoring advice being given to him, or he's being given very bad advice by his advisors. I mean, I just don't know which is which. If it is like a serious country, when about 30 people or 60 people are in...
What he is saying, because I haven't really recently listened to any of his addresses to the nation, what...
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
He's
I don't
not
think he
saying
has
nothing
addressed.
to the nation now.
I don't think he
And-
has. The only time to me, he addressed the nation was during the NSAS, this youth protest. And at that time,
And wasn't the most sort of
inspiring address, if you know what I mean. I won't blame everything that is happening to the country on him now, because it's just like
Who
a
else?
slow process. It's been gathering space.
yeah.
Since Obasanjo, Jonathan, and himself now, they've not been able to resolve anything. And that's why people are asking, what is Jonathan coming back to do, the former president, who was beaten by Buhari? Now the Buhari party wants him. I mean, it shows the other madness going on in that country. And
Yeah.
people, on top of this, people are suffering.
Lack of a guidance, obviously.
Yeah, but people, it's just the helplessness of it all. That people don't have choice. They have to go through the grinding poverty. Where in every state, you have resources there. If you throw mango seed on the floor, go there 2 months and you see a mango tree. And still, people are still hungry. Because according to one of the aspirants, you see, the problem with Nigeria is Nigeria has become a consuming nation, not a productive nation. They don't produce what they eat. And that is why, and no leader. I mean, if you take the situation of any
But the Nigerians are known for their hard work. I mean, I'm not talking about the elites, some people who are going around doing this, but traditionally, this is a highly productive, highly hard-working
But
population.
if they go outside, even under this strain, you'll see some entrepreneurs doing their best, trying their best to make things work. For instance, how can the whole country have 4 megawatts of electricity for 200 million people plus? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's not any power that maybe a South African company we used to watch Manchester United and this, but the whole country, how can it be productive? So I mean, I just don't know. Some people have been putting out advocacy there that everybody should go and get their voter's card. But if the party throws up to bad, in parentheses, to not so suitable to them, what choice do they have? Because nobody has visited you, nobody has seen you for a period of 4 years or 3 years. Now it's election time. The people are coming to you now, giving you maybe a bag of rice. You won't see them again after now.
For another
For
bag
another
of
4
rice.
years.
Probably less.
Yeah, in fact,
If you have 5 kilos now,
when they,
probably next time you getting 3 kilos.
not even, you won't get anything, because once they get into the people coming to you now, once they get into office, they'll be using soldiers to chase you off the road with their siren. And that's the people that you voted for. You waited under the sun, dancing. Oh, my people, our candidate has won. Our candidate has won. If he becomes a governor, for instance, they will clear the road maybe 5 kilometers away before even he might still be in the bathroom, but the road has been cleared for him already. Is that the type of democracy people are going through? That's why I'm just
That's
saying.
abuse of the
That is
democracy.
what I'm saying is, why is it that that type of democracy is being practiced? And these people come outside, they see how other countries flourish. The excuse that I keep on hearing is, oh, their democracy is 400 years, ours is 12 years. You don't reinvent the wheel, for God's sake.
No.
You don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel is already there. Just use it. It is. Do you need generation upon generation to clean up corruption? You see governors that have been alleged to have sold assets of a state, and they are going to Supreme Court to say no, nobody can challenge them how they run the state aground. You see governors collecting what they call security votes, running into millions and billions some cases. That is unaccountable. You see governors building houses for the judiciary, the judges. So what? I mean, it's just. I just hope maybe this time they will make the right choice, because I'm losing my voice already. Though I'm not directly affected by it. But when you see from afar things they are doing, the only simple things they need to put in place to make life easy for everybody. I mean, it's very difficult to just wish corruption away. Even in some so-called sane countries, you still have corrupt people. But the rule is don't get caught. There are consequences. And they are so mindful of these consequences in sane society. But in most African society, that rule does not appear. Even if you are caught, so what?
You can always get away with
it. Get away with it. What do they want? Is money. We go and bribe anybody. And if they don't bribe anybody, they kidnap one of your children and you succumb. I mean, it's just jungle democracy. I mean, it's either you want to practice democracy or you want to practice dictatorship. Because if you have pseudo-democracy and you're practicing dictatorship and you say you're practicing democracy, it's all rubbish. Like in Cameroon, you have a president that has been there for more than 30 years. I mean, what type of democracy is that? And see people that they know that this thing will never happen in their own country. We're back Cameroon. We're back Uganda. Helping them to build a strong man instead of strong institution. I just don't know why we can't. I'm not calling for revolution, for God's sake, far from it. But
what is wrong with calling?
No, because people will lose their lives. I mean, you might.
It doesn't have to be a violent revolution.
Yeah, well, how else will it take place? When you said even the poor beer that has been there for donkey years, to climb up to go and present the cup in the African championship, it was being held just to climb this. I mean, I'm not blaming him for being old, because everybody will be. If you are lucky, you get there. But know the time to leave. No, you can't be Albert Einstein at the age of 90, because the brain cells will start dying.
Yeah, I think when we were watching that final, and
that was what I was referring to.
Yeah, the AFCON final.
Yeah,
and then these dignitaries appeared on the pitch and was walking, and someone was telling me, "Is that the president of Cameroon?" I said, "No." He said, "Why?" Because when you see these dignitaries walking in the pitch itself.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "No, I don't think that man is able to walk anymore." And then what happened is the cup is being taken up,
to him.
There on the gallery where he was to bless it. And then the players brought it back and then celebrating.
That is what we are talking about.
How many now? We say 40 years or
Yeah.
40 years
In power.
in power.
And it's almost going to 90.
Mm.
I mean, which same country will have that? And people will still push him at the age of 100 because they are benefiting. The psychophants around him are benefiting, and they are the culprits of all this.
Yeah, the cronies and the they are there.
Oh God! So I mean, we'll be following. This is just the beginning, the opening chapter of.
Yeah,
well, eventually,
obviously,
what to,
we've got long way before the elections, so
I mean,
we've got a lot to talk about. Yeah,
the People's Democratic Party are having their primary election.
the PDP.
PDP this weekend.
Okay.
And the electoral body is given extended it. That is another thing we'll talk about next week, because they said they will never extend the period for all primaries to be conducted. But eventually, the parties have put pressure on the electoral body, and they've given them 6 more days. So the APC government will do theirs between 6 and 8 next month.
Okay.
So we'll be watching, we'll be following, and we'll be seeing I just hope a groundswell of people will shake that place, give it a political earthquake that will surprise people.
And make their voices heard.
That is very important. So maybe we are still very far away. Wherever you are hearing us from, if you are in Nigeria, make sure you go and pick your voter's card.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very important. So that will give you that eligibility to vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just for those people making the continent of Africa the shameful place.
Mariam is just ringing, and I'm just going to tell her that today we're not able to talk about other issues.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we were not able to speak to you, but hopefully that next week.
Next week, and also the time too.
Yeah.
And then we'll take her call next week, because we need to vacate the studio now.
Right.
Enough of our lamentation. But before we leave, we just want to give 12 strokes to all the politicians making the continent bad. Maybe we need another one. Yes, we want to thank you for being there for us this afternoon, and maybe next week we'll have less lamentation. We might have good news, but I doubt it. But we'll be following the trajectory of the Nigerian election. Not that there are no other elections taking place on the continent. After all, the Kenyan presidential election is in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we already had the Somalian
exactly
done. So last week, I think the new president was inaugurated.
So we'll be picking other countries as we go along. But unfortunately, we'll have to focus on Nigeria, because we need to make sure they get it right.
And the Americans have gone back to Somalia, by the way. The military now back in Somalia now.
Okay.
After Trump withdrew the forces, they are back now.
And we just hope the prosecution of Professor
Jamil
will go through, and maybe judiciously, and
Sheikh, Professor, the President,
everything.
Hajj, Jamil.
Anyway, until next week, we want to wish our Queen a very good
the Jubilee,
Platinum Jubilee.
Fantastic.
For next week, should we forget, we wish her many, many more years in good health.
For all as well.
Until then, we want to thank you for being there for us this afternoon. And until next week, when we come your way again, it's goodbye from me, CY.
And goodbye from me, Jafar Ali.
Whatever.